We're behind. They're all fired up. What we got to do? First place, our defense has got to go out there and take the ball. And when we get the ball, we got to have 11 people that's going to do their job and try to score every time you get the football. If we do that, we'll be all right. Do that, we'll be all right.
Happy Monday, everybody, on this beautiful Monday. Started out a little bit cold, but it's warmed up. Hope everybody's enjoyed the weekend. It is NFL Draft Week. We got a lot to talk about. Of course, we're going to talk about the Crimson Tide and Alabama football players, but we're going to discuss a lot of football from UFL, NFL, college. We've got a whole slate, action-packed show for today here on Football University with me, Matt Caddell. Listen, tell a friend, get somebody to turn into the show. Like I said, this is Football University, where I try to be your de facto professor, dean, whatever you want to say, regardless of football. And listen, we like to cover it all here on Football University. Yes, we find a way to bring it back to the University of Alabama. So roll tide to all those fans out there. Get in the comment section, get in the student section. Let us know what you want to talk about. So, yes, thank you all for tuning in. Listen, Jeff Stapleton said, Matt, what's up? Stallions 4-0, roll tide. Yeah, the Stallions are 4-0. Had a big game versus, I think, the XFL defending champs. The XFL, UFL combined this past year. They have 8 teams. DC Defenders came to Birmingham, and it was a nail-biter. It came down to a field goal. I know Birmingham was up early, led by Matt Caddell, Amari Rogers. But, yeah, Stallions pulled it out with a late field goal kick with like 40-something last-minute kick, and they won the game. So they beat the DC Defenders. Speaking of the Stallions, speaking of Alabama, big matchup coming into Birmingham this weekend, actually. Birmingham Stallions, St. Louis Battlehawks. A.J. McCarron bringing the St. Louis Battlehawks to Birmingham, which is going to be an interesting kind of homecoming for A.J. McCarron. I'm quite sure there's going to be a ton of Bama fans, Stallion fans in attendance. So let's see if the Stallions can keep that 5-0 record. It's really good competitive spring football. So shouts out to the UFL. Listen, Reuben Foster got the Houston Roughnecks, I believe, got them to get a win. He's looking solid. So it's a good opportunity for players at the collegiate level. I mean, at the professional level, who were collegiate superstars. So yes, let's get to a few comments. RTR, Lori Caddell, Roll Tide. Yeah, we got a lot to discuss. Alabama. But like I said, the NFL draft is on starting Thursday, I believe. And we know a few Alabama players, Alabama alum are going to be there. We're going to just go right into it. You got players like Dallas Turner, Terry Arnold. I think Terry Arnold's going to be there. Kool-Aid. I think Alabama gets 4 guys in the first round, starting with Dallas Turner, Terrion Arnold, or J.C. Latham will probably be the next available player. My odds probably, I don't know. It just depends on how the flow of the draft goes. But J.C. Latham, Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid, McKinstry, we got a lot to discuss with these guys. So let's get a few more comments real quick before I get into it. Joe Saban says, yes, the DC Defenders. Bobby Caddell says, hi, Matt, RTR. M. Davis says, RTR. Joe Saban says, yes, I like both teams. So getting back to getting back to the NFL draft. Yes, so I wanted to start with let's start with the Alabama guys. Since the draft is in Detroit this year, we know let's get the elephant out of the room. Coach Saban will be there as an analyst, I believe, for ESPN with their draft coverage. So it'll be interesting to see the GOAT, Coach Saban, his interaction, having him kind of be easing his way into the football analyst role. We know he's going to be with College Game Day in the fall. I think that's when it's really going to hit me, when I wake up and I see, hear the song, wake up and I see Coach Saban there on the set. I think that's when it's truly going to hit me. But that's neither here nor there. Kudos to the GOAT. But it's going to be interesting to hear his intelligence, his IQ, his analysis, having, dealt with players like a Jane Daniels, seeing Caleb Williams from afar, Lincoln Riley, his type of style offense, being able to comment on guys like Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid, Dallas Turner, J.C. Latham, and a lot of other SEC guys as we went against that will probably get their name called in the first round. So it'd be cool to see Coach Saban there in Detroit. He probably going to have a spiffy suit for sure. But just want to address Coach Saban's going to be there in Detroit. But let's get into dive into Alabama players that will be getting drafted. And first, who I think their name will be getting called first, I think Dallas Turner will be the first defensive player called, have his name called from Alabama. You look at you look at Jeff Saban says, I'm hearing a lot of trade rumors, Brandon Ayuk for the 49ers. I know you're a big Niners fan. We're going to discuss 49ers tours when I get the Kool-Aid. I'm hearing a lot of smoke regarding him. But let's get back to Dallas Turner. I think Dallas Turner will be the first Alabama player called. I think he'll be not only the first Alabama player called, but I do think he will be the first defensive player off the board at number 8 for the Atlanta Falcons. We know we got a lot of Falcons fans out there. Rise up to all the Falcons fans. I do think the Falcons fans put in their card for Dallas Turner. They've been needing a big-time edge rusher for the longest. You have Grady Jarrett. You have Jesse Bates, secondary you got in the trade last year. You have a lot of pieces. You just need that prolific edge rusher. So I do think Dallas Turner will be the first defender coming off the board at 8. Now, if he doesn't come off the board at 8, Jeff Stapleton mentioned a lot of trade rumors. It's a lot of things, a lot of smoke screens being thrown off right now from NFL teams, GMs, front offices, whatever you want to say. It's going to be interesting to see how this draft, and I think that 8th spot could maybe potentially push that first defensive player back some, maybe to 9. You look at the Chicago Bears, who have the number 9 pick, as well as the first number 1 overall pick. We know they traded Justin Fields to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think, obviously, my odds are saying the Chicago Bears are going to roll with Caleb Williams. They put a lot of pieces around for the young quarterback. They got DJ Moore last year. They traded for Keenan Allen this year, so giving him some young talent at the quarterback position. Now they have the number 9 pick. Now, do the Chicago Bears trade up? I think they already, kind of I think they need to get that pass rush. I think that's kind of been the biggest issue for the Chicago Bears ever since they lost Khalil Mack back in the day to the Las Vegas or Oakland Raiders in the past. And I do think if Dallas Turner is not taken by number 8, I seriously do believe that the Chicago Bears will take him at 9 or maybe try to trade up. Maybe try to trade up for Dallas Turner, maybe try to jump the gun versus the Atlanta Falcons at 8. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, but I definitely think if the Falcons do not take Dallas Turner at 8, the Chicago Bears are going to jump all over taking Dallas Turner at number 9, because I had heard some smoke, just from different talking heads, different opinions. A lot of people say, they like Jared Verse as being the first edge rusher off the board. Me personally, I prefer Dallas Turner, long wingspan, athletic. It's been healthy majority of his career, played in the SEC. To me, that goes along. And just looking at the type of caliber players that he's went against, obviously going going against a J.C. Latham at practice, going against so many other top tackles in the NFL. So, I definitely see Dallas Turner coming off the board at number 8. If not, he will be coming off the board at 9. So let's pause right there while we discuss our Dallas Turner talk. Let's get to a few more comments. We got Rise Up for the Falcons fans. Roll that gum, Todd, Lushan, great brother right there. Lushan joins me on the Final Wheels. He does an amazing job. Follow that guy. He does an amazing job. And let's get to Jeff Stapleton. He's always one of our top comment student section people on here on the Football University. He says, yes, supposedly Steelers are interested in Ayuk at this point. Money talks, MBS walks. I agree. But I don't know if the Steelers would trade up from their spot. I believe the Steelers have the number. I don't even think the Steelers have a first-round pick. Oh, they have the number 20th pick. Now, I don't know if they have to trade up for a receiver. Maybe Ayuk. I think the 49ers kind of addressed that I think Ayuk's such a dynamic wide receiver, route runner. I think he fits what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. But listen, this is a deep receiving class. I think the receiving class is probably the deepest in this draft, as far as you're going to get a lot of first-round talent later, day 2, day 3. I think it's a deep class. I mean, you're looking at guys like a Franklin, Xavier Worthy, possibly Lab McConkey, guys that might not make it in the first round, but are obviously, to me, in my opinion, first-round talent guys. The 49ers. Now, let's get to the 49ers. You mentioned the 49ers. You mentioned the Steelers. I think the Steelers can stay at number 20 and get a receiver. Look at a Brian Thomas Jr., probably be on the board from LSU. I think players like I think Jacksonville at 17 maybe goes defense, but they could easily go wide receiver. So that maybe will put the Steelers. I don't know if the Steelers go offensive line. I think maybe receiver, but I think they can, trade up in the second round, maybe trade back, get as many picks as possible, and get a good receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, you mentioned the 49ers, and now this is what I've heard. I've heard a lot of smoke. I've seen a lot of mock drafts regarding Kool-Aid McKinstry saying they don't see Kool-Aid McKinstry falling past number 30 to the Baltimore Ravens, which I think I could easily see that, but I have heard that there is a lot of interest from the San Francisco 49ers regarding Kool-Aid McKinstry, looking for that pure lockdown outside corner. So I have heard that. I did hear a report earlier today regarding Kool-Aid and the 49ers. They're saying the 49ers will would not be surprised if the 49ers, if Kool-Aid is still there on the board, 49ers trading up maybe to like a 25, 26 or something like that to get Kool-Aid McKinstry. So that is what I want to discuss regarding the NFL draft. So I mentioned Kool-Aid. Now let's kind of go back to the second player that I believe will get drafted. I mentioned that I believe Dallas Turner will be the first one off the board. Bob Rutherford says RTR, Bob Rutherford. Thanks for joining. But mentioning Dallas Turner, I think Dallas Turner, his sweet spot in this draft is the Atlanta Falcons. If not the Atlanta Falcons, I do believe it will be the Chicago Bears, or maybe the Chicago Bears trade up for him. Now, with that being said, the next player, as I mentioned earlier, I believe that the next player that is drafted will be Terrion Arnold. But I will say this is kind of has its things, it's fluid, as Stephen A. Smith likes to say. Things can always change. Now, this is just my preliminary thoughts, football university thoughts regarding the NFL draft come Thursday night. I think there will be a run on quarterbacks. Okay, I think the first 3 picks will be a run on quarterbacks. I think Chicago Bears going Caleb Williams. Now, number 2, that's where I think it can get kind of dicey, because I have heard maybe Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders maybe aren't on the same page. I think maybe Jaden Daniels was looking really, I heard rumors, reports that maybe he prefers the Las Vegas Raiders. Does the Las Vegas Raiders trade up? With the does Las Vegas Raiders trade up with the Washington Commanders? Maybe offer some things for them to get up, future first round picks. So I don't know. I think the Commanders would love to have Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels, to me, I said it. Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels are 1A, 1B when it comes to quarterbacks. Now, I think there's going to be a run on quarterbacks. I think the first 3 picks, Chicago, Washington Commanders, and New England Patriots possibly could be a run on quarterbacks. But you never know what could happen. So you never know. Could the Denver Broncos trade up for a quarterback? Could the Las Vegas Raiders trade up for a quarterback? Or do they sit back in 13 and maybe get their guy? So this is just how I think the first 10 picks are going to go. I think it's going to be a run on quarterbacks. Then now you're starting to hear a lot of J.J. McCarthy smoke. Maybe the Broncos maybe trade up. I don't know. I'm not too high. I think if J.J. McCarthy does not go to the New York Giants, I'm at number 6. I wouldn't be surprised if another team maybe tries to trade up for J.J. McCarthy. So, this is what we do at Football University. The biggest football event is the draft. So I'm just telling you how I think. Now, I do think it's Caleb Williams, Chicago, possibly Jaden Daniels or Drake May to Washington at number 2. If that happens, don't be surprised, Lucian. Yes, your Raiders. I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders trade up from 13 and go get Jaden Daniels with the New England Patriots and trade for number 3. And the Patriots can drop down and still get Drake. I mean, not Drake May, but maybe get a Marvin Harrison Jr. That's just my thought. And I think after the quarterbacks, I think maybe 3 or 4 quarterbacks go in the top 10. I think there will be an immediate run on receivers. I think you get 3 receivers. And then after that, I think that's when the first defensive player comes off the board. And I think that is Dallas Turner for me. So that's just my 2 cents. So let's go. Let's go to comments. Y'all are always on a roll here. He says, bring him at Steelers on Football University. Roll Tide. Yeah, I think the Steelers are set at number 20. I wouldn't be surprised if they go after a young receiver like a Brian Thomas Jr. if he's there. Maybe a Xavier Worthy at 20. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out for the Steelers. James Knox, thanks for your comments. He says fluid. It's fluid. The draft is fluid. You never know what might happen. Jeff Stapleton, we know you're Niners. You're a big, huge Niners fan. Carla Hinton, thanks for tuning in. Roll Tide Roll. James Knott, let's get to your comment real quick. He says, is Dallas Turner a top 10 pick? I believe Dallas Turner is a top 10 pick. I think overall talent, I think Dallas Turner is like probably number 6 player off the board, just all positions in general. But yeah, Dallas Turner, he has a long wingspan. He's not even 21. Athletic, can play down, foot in the ground, hand in the ground, play up. He plays so many different positions. He can do it all. So, but like I mentioned earlier, I think Dallas Turner comes off the board at pick 8 to the Atlanta Falcons. If I was a betting man, I'd probably put all my, not majority of my stake or bets on the Falcons at number 8. But if all things are settled, I do think that if Atlanta is able to stay there and there's not crazy trade rumors or runs on quarterbacks or receivers, and Atlanta's able to stay at number 8, I do think that he will be an Atlanta Falcon, Dallas Turner, so that will make him a top 10 pick. If not, maybe if a team trades up and Jaden Daniels is still on the board, I think he will be, his second best odds will be with the Chicago Bears at number 9. I definitely think the Chicago Bears need an edge rusher. I think they need somebody to kind of help solidify that defense coming off the edge in that, that NFC North division. So, yes, so hopefully that answers a few questions. So let's get back. I mentioned that Dallas Turner will be the first defensive player off the board. I said he's either going to be a Atlanta Falcon or a Chicago Bear. The next player, I think, now I know I'm kind of going everywhere, but remember I told you how I think it's going to be a run of quarterbacks and a run of receivers. Then it'll be a few offensive linemen. Now, there's a run on offensive linemen about 10, 11, 12 or something like that. Don't be surprised if J.C. Latham is the next Alabama player to come off the board. You're looking at teams like the New York Jets at number 10. You're looking at teams, possibly the Tennessee Titans at number 7. You're looking at teams like that really, maybe the Raiders. I think the Raiders probably address the quarterback need. If Jaden Daniels is there, I definitely see Pierce and them trading up to go get Jaden Daniels. If not, they possibly will settle for, a Michael Penix Jr. later in the draft or trade back. But I wouldn't be surprised to see teams, that are looking for, I don't see J.C. Latham falling past number 18 to the Cincinnati Bengals. So that's it. But I do think it depends on how the draft is fluid. The first 10 picks are fluid. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a run of offensive tackles, then J.C. Latham odds are going to tremendously increase of being the second Alabama player drafted. Now, if it's a whole bunch of movement and things like that, guys trying to get quarterbacks, whatever, I think the next defensive player that will come, or the next Alabama player that will come, which is a defensive player, will be Terrion Arnold. Now, I've heard some sneaky news regarding Terrion Arnold and the Philadelphia Eagles. I have heard that Howie Roseman is big on Terrion Arnold, or they're looking to fill that cornerback need for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I have heard that if Terrion Arnold is on the board, now I don't think a lot of people are saying, oh, they got Quinyon Mitchell, their number 1 corner. It's very objective, subjective, depends on what you want. Me personally, if I'm taking anybody to secondary, it's going to be Terrion Arnold. And if I need a true lockdown corner, it's going to be Kool-Aid McKinstry, period. That's just how I evaluate. But Now, Terry Arnold, there has been reports that the Philadelphia Eagles, I believe, have the 21st pick. And if Terry Arnold is still on the board, probably still, let's say he gets past, 12, 13, 14 picks, there is a report saying don't be surprised if the Eagles fly, trade up for Terrion Arnold. I don't know if they would trade up for Q Mitchell because I think they maybe Harry Roseman is a really smart GM. I think he would play it and see if other teams want to trade up for Q Mitchell. And if Q Mitchell's on there, they would sit and just wait on Terrion Arnold. But there has been a report that possibly Terrion Arnold could potentially be getting traded up for, if he's still on the board, by the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, back to Terry Arnold. I think if he's still on the board at 14, with the New Orleans Saints, I think the Saints maybe address edge rushers. I think that they're interested. I have heard smoke with the Denver Broncos. And I want to address the Denver Broncos because I don't know what the Denver Broncos are doing. They released some new uniforms today. I've heard rumors regarding another NFL player that's tied with Alabama, Patrick Surtain. Sean Payton, do we know what he's going to do? I mean, it's kind of like we don't know. We have no idea what George Payton, the GM, and Sean Payton are trying to do up there in Mile High City up there in Denver. Now, I have heard some reports possibly of the Eagles maybe making some trade with the Denver Broncos. Now, to get, and that trade might include Patrick Surtain. Now, I don't know if y'all have been on the rock, but big news that came out of Denver today after releasing jerseys and all that stuff. They traded for Zach Wilson, I think a 6th or 7th round pick for Zach Wilson. And to me, I don't know if they have a plan for what they want to do at quarterback. I don't know what they're thinking. Maybe they're looking for a later round guy, or maybe they have their eyes on somebody. But listen, I mean, I don't know what to expect. And if they don't know what they're doing with their quarterback, I don't want to see Patrick Surtain's career wasted at Denver. So listen, Howie Roseman knows how to deal, wheel, and deal. Don't be surprised if he tries to trade for PS2 if the offer is on the table. You never know. This is some rumors that I've heard. This is rumor smoke screen season. But, I mean, could you imagine Patrick Surtain in that defense with Slay? All those guys, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. Listen, that would be huge. So don't be surprised if you see some movement, maybe possibly with the Philadelphia Eagles. Either way, I think the Eagles are going to trade and either get an Alabama cornerback in Patrick Surtain or Terry Arnold. So it is interesting to see. So let's go to the student section. I've talked enough. I'm going to come back to Terry Arnold. Jeff Stapleton says, the first hard hit on Daniel, he's whining like a little girl. Listen, it'll be hard to get a hard hit on Jay Daniels in the NFL because, listen, the NFL, they protect their quarterbacks like crazy. Like, they had the big controversial rulings with the NFL competition committee saying no more hip to ground tackles or whatnot. I mean, a lot of people are saying those are causing a lot of injuries. So now you got to really tackle guys by the angle if they're ahead of you. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So I think the NFL, they're always trying to protect, but I think some of the competition committee I don't understand. So Lucian says, "Yay, they better." Yeah. Listen, I think you're discussing your beloved Las Vegas Raiders, Lucian. He said he'd rather take Penix. Let's listen. The Las Vegas Raiders have the number 13 pick. Now, I think I don't know if they would trade up, but, I have heard some smoke that maybe Jane Daniels prefers to go to the Raiders over the Commanders. I don't know what's going on with the Commanders and Jaden Daniels. Maybe it's just rumors. Maybe people are overanalyzing or just taking it and run with it. But listen, it would be. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, this is what we do. I'm just giving y'all the facts, kind of some digging of what I'm hearing. I'm just saying, listen, don't be surprised if the Commanders go Drake May. I've heard New England really likes Drake May. So it'll be interesting to see, could that be an opportunity for the Las Vegas Raiders at 13, maybe possibly to trade up. It'll be interesting to see. But I do think maybe the Raiders, they can sit back, maybe trade back down, and get Michael Penix, or maybe stay right there at 13 and Michael Penix. Listen, me personally, let's just talk about it. This is what we do at Football University. Let me give you my Football University QB draft rankings 3 or 4 days before the draft. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, 1A, 1B for me. After that, I will go Drake May. Now you have number 4. I actually like Michael Penix. Probably. I could easily put him at number 3. I'm just going off what people are saying. I actually like Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix at 3, Drake May, then Bo Nix, then JJ McCarthy. Yes, that is my draft rankings. Williams, Daniels, Penix, May, Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy. That's how my rankings. I think it's a tie between Drake May and Michael Penix. It depends on what you like. But I do like Bo Nix better than JJ McCarthy. And we know we got a lot of – I just think Bo Nix gives you a lot more what you can do offensively from a quarterback, more so than JJ McCarthy. Now, JJ McCarthy is good. I just haven't seen so much of his game to me that way I can be like, man, I would put him over the other guys. But that's just me. This is what we do at Football University. I'm just giving you my opinion of what I see on the field. Now, I'm just being honest. So those are my Football University QB rankings. So let's get to a few more comments. Let's see. He says Niners need interior tackles. We soft in the middle of the field. Yeah, y'all got rid of forgot what's the defensive line, man. But yeah, I think y'all are fine. Y'all got Bosa, Chase Young. Y'all have a lot. I think the defensive tackle, I think you find a lot of talent. You look at a Justin Igbobi from Alabama, you can maybe pick him up in the 2nd, 3rd round. I think it's some good defensive tackle talent in this draft. So y'all are rolling in the comments. James Knox says TMZ on line 1. Interested in this draft info. Listen, I'm just letting you know before the crazy chaos happens on Thursday. This is just what I'm hearing. Dirt Road Bigfoot says, if y'all haven't heard, Matt is the man. Listen, thank you. That's very humbled by that. But listen, I just love talking sports with y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in to Football University. That's what's important to me. Let's see. James Knox says, I agree. He's on one today. Yeah, it's just draft season. So let's get back to Terrion Arnold. Now I do think, like I said, don't be surprised if the Philadelphia Eagles at 22 try to get a little bit aggressive, maybe try to trade with Denver and get a Patrick Surtain, or maybe, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if Terrion Arnold, if he's still on the board by 14, 15, don't be surprised Harry Roseman trades up 6 picks and gets Terrion Arnold at the cornerback position. I think that would be a good spot. I don't know if he would trade up for Q Mitchell. I see him trading up for really good, solid players. And, that would be interesting for the Philadelphia Eagles. You already got Eli Ricks. You can really solidify that other corner with a guy that can play inside, outside. And so that's Terrion Arnold. And you're going to see a lot of people saying, who's the top corner? Me personally, I'm going Terrion Arnold. People are going to try to knock the 4.5 combine. 4.5 is really, really fast. But 4.5 is different from, just playing in the game. You got to look at quickness, footwork, eyes. You got to look at so many different things regarding the football game speed. I mean, you see guys run 4.2. You're going to hear people say, oh, Nate Riggins ran a 4.2. But, yeah, how does that translate to playing football? That's why I think you got to look at the tape. To me, Terrion Arnold, he's a true Swiss Army knife. You look at his background, came out of Florida as a safety. So he has safety skills, but we moved him to outside corner, and maybe he had a little challenges, but once you knew he got it in, Coach Saban knew this is his best talent. This is where his talents would serve him the best. Listen, he's going to be the top corner, in my opinion. And what separates Q Mitchell from Terrion Arnold from Kool-Aid, Terrion Arnold could play nickel. I mean, you look at when Malachi Moore went down and we needed a nickel on defense, we moved him to nickel, put Trey Amos at cornerback. He had one of his best picks was against Kentucky, playing that nickel position. I think he caused a forced fumble, so he's really, really good. You can play him at multiple positions in the secondary. I mentioned him coming out of high school. He was a safety. We put him at corner. So to me, Terrion Arnold is a true ultimate weapon in the secondary. You can play him at multiple positions. To me, that's what separates him. Now, if you're looking for a true lockdown corner, a guy that's going to travel with the best receiver, just play outside, kind of like a Patrick Surtain does in the past, that's where I believe you find that in Kool-Aid McKinstry. I don't think Kool-Aid is a better cornerback that travels with the best receiver and locks down, plays man-to-man, really savvy, really knows how to, really play the position man-to-man. Kool-Aid McKinstry is your guy. So, but yeah, Terrion Arnold, don't be surprised if the Eagles try to trade up for him. I'm just letting you know, fly Eagles fly. I know how this draft is. I heard Howie Roseman is aggressive. He's either going to get Patrick Surtain or Terrion Arnold. So that's my next. So I mentioned Dallas Turner being the first Alabama guy. Terrion Arnold, I know I talked about him a lot. J.C. Latham could easily be the second guy. I told you, depends on how the fluid draft goes. If it's a run of offensive tackles, don't be surprised if a team like the Jets, a team like possibly the Saints, you look at the Indianapolis Colts, could they protect their young quarterback, Anthony Richardson? He had a lot of injuries last year, but I do think J.C. Latham, I do not see J.C. Latham going past 18, the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that's a perfect spot for him in that AFC North division, where Baltimore, I think that's probably going to be the most competitive division with Baltimore, Pittsburgh, all you Steelers fans out there, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. I think that's going to be a sweet spot for J.C. Latham at 18. So I don't see him falling past 18. So like I said, if it's a run on offensive tackles, don't be surprised if J.C. Latham goes a little bit earlier than 18. Then this is when you get into prime Kool-Aid territory. I mentioned earlier, they said, I've seen Mel Kiper's mock where he says Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to 30 to Baltimore. Alabama guys, Baltimore, Ozzie Newsome, that connection. Eric DeCosta is now the GM. He still likes Alabama guys. So I just don't see Kool-Aid being there at 30. I just don't see him being there. I think you're going to have to trade up. I mentioned earlier, San Francisco 49ers have the 31st pick. They are in dire need of a true lockdown quarterback. You look at John Lynch, you look at that division, having to go against the LA Rams, having to go against the Seattle Seahawks, DK Metcalf, all those guys. Listen, they need a true day. I think they have everything else. Interior, Greenlaw, they just need help at the cornerback position. So I think that could really help them. And I've heard that Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, I believe if Kool-Aid is anywhere If he's still on the board past 25, which I do not believe, listen, my biggest odds for Kool-Aid, I think Kool-Aid is going to be either a Green Bay Packer at 25 or he's going to be a Detroit Lion at 29. If he's not there at 29, he either be a Baltimore Raven or San Francisco 49ers. I think one of those four teams, Kool-Aid McKinstry would be. So if you're a Kool-Aid McKinstry fan, listen, at 25, if he is sitting there, hasn't been drafted, don't be surprised. Green Bay Packers go get Kool-Aid McKinstry at 25. If not, Brad Holmes, he loves Alabama guys. He got Jameson Williams 2 years ago. Last year, he got Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round. The Detroit Lions have the 29th pick. Don't be surprised if they go for elite corner. Cam Sutton, their starting corner, had a domestic issue, so now they truly need a cornerback. I think Brad Holmes has been quoted saying he doesn't mind trading back into the second round. I think that's just really savvy, really good smokescreen talk to kind of put it out the air, keep a little unknown regarding the fan base and the front office. I think four teams that Kool-Aid's going to be. He's either going to be a Green Bay Packer at 25. He's either going to be at 29 a Detroit Lion in that NFC North division. And I think he's either going to be a San Francisco 49er or a Baltimore Raven. I think San Francisco, if he's still on the board past 26, 29, San Francisco is going to trade up for Kool-Aid. So I think Kool-Aid is going to be one of those four teams. There has already been a report that the 49ers really like Kool-Aid McKinstry. He cleared back his medical, so don't be surprised about Kool-Aid there. And that will put Alabama with four players in the first round. So let's get to you all's comments. Man, sorry, I was on a little tangent. I was trying to get as much information in. Let's go. Joe Staple in the chat says, like New England did, Mac Jones wasted his talents. Yeah, it was just a lot. I think with Mac Jones, he signed with Jacksonville Jaguars. He's back down there in Duval County. I actually think he's going to push Trevor Lawrence down there. I think he's going to push him. But, yeah, I think what hurt Mac Jones was when Bill Belichick, after he lost, Mac Jones was phenomenal his rookie year. He came in second in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting, behind none other than Jamar Chase, talented receiver out of LSU. But a lot of people would say, oh, he's going to have a big year too. But as soon as Josh McDaniels left to go to the Las Vegas Raiders to be the head coach, I don't think Bill Belichick made the wisest or the smartest decisions regarding his young quarterback. And I don't think you do that when you put a Joe Judge, who's been a special teams coach, as your co-offensive coordinator, and Matt Patricia. I think that just put that year really hurt Mac Jones. Mac Jones was kind of, not having any help, not having any support. And then last year, that really hurt him even more, just with, even having Bill O'Brien. And we already know what Bill O'Brien, that debacle is, not having any weapons. And I think it was so much they didn't have any confidence. Belichick didn't put any confidence or encouragement. Bill O'Brien. New England is a tricky organization. And as you can see, Robert Kraft knew they needed to make changes. Belichick's out of a job. Bill O'Brien's at Boston College. Mac Jones is now with Jacksonville. So I don't know if New England goes quarterback from the jump. I don't see them getting a first-round quarterback. That doesn't seem like to be the Patriot way. Now they have a new head coach, Gerard Mayo. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade back a few spots, maybe pick up. I think they need weapons. I don't think they can pass up a Malik Neighbors. I don't think they can pass up a Marvin Harrison. I don't think they can pass up a Romeo Aduzier. I think they can trade back, get a quarterback, and get a receiver. You need weapons. You have no outside help for a young quarterback. So I think you get a good receiver in the first round of the draft in the top 5, and you can get a good quarterback like a Spencer Rattler. Maybe you can get J.J. McCarthy later in the draft. I mean, it's so many pieces you can do. So hopefully with the new regime, the new GM, not kind of, Belichick kind of moving on, that New England gets some weapons. I think they got to get out of the Patriot way and being frugal, trying to be cheap. They got to put money, because if not, you're going to get passed up. Look at the division, the AFC East. You got Miami, Tua about to get a big contract. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Mike McDaniels, those guys coming. Buffalo Bills. I mean, they're looking to get a top receiver. They traded Stephon Diggs to Houston, but you got Josh Allen, Sean McDermott. They got a lot of pieces. They won the division last year, and then everybody's going to say Aaron Rodgers, with the New York Jets, Quinnen Williams, Garrett Wilson, all those guys. So that's a really competitive division. So I don't think in the AFC, the New England Patriots can afford to be cheap. Not in this day and age when salary cap continues to increase. Football revenues continue to increase salary cap. Like, you have to make investments to get a great return on your investments. So you got to spend money. So listen, New England, they might just go through a lull where they just – I think the ways of doing things the old way are in New England. You have to be able to clear division, because that's what's going to get you in the playoffs. So enough about that. Thanks for the comment. Joe Saban and Douglas Caddell says, roll tide, roll. Sean says, I would never choose a Tiger over anyone except a Wolverine. Man, listen, I get it. I think the Raiders fans would prefer Jay Daniels, Michael Penix, possibly Bo Nix before J.J. McCarthy, if they tuned into football. University Dirt Road Bigfoot said, is Bo Nix coming out of retirement? Listen, Bo Nix, man, he's a butt of a lot of Alabama jokes, but, listen, that guy, I think he's talented. I don't know why he had to leave the SEC. I did some interviews, said, SEC fans are all they do is carry football, and it's much more easier at Oregon out west. I just think, to me, that was just an easy cop-out. I think sometimes you deal with adversity, and that's just the age we live in. Any type of adversity or any type of challenge that these kids have, I want to jump in the portal and put the odds in my favor. It works out for some guys, a small percentage, but majority of the guys, you look at the portal now, these guys played last year for different teams, transferred, played. Now they're in the portal again for like their second or third time. I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we teaching? And that's for the majority of the transfer portal kids. Like, you have your one-offs, your Jahmyr Gibbs, your Bo Nix or whatever, but for majority of the kids, probably about 80-70% of the kids, they're going on their second, third team. So, listen, life's going to be hard. You're going to have to go through storms. You just can't transfer through the portal when challenges come. So you got to learn perseverance. You learn a lot about your character. So stick it out, man. I mean, if you're getting a raw deal, but don't just run from any little challenge, in my opinion. So let's see. James Knox says, Jay Daniels broke Burrow's records. Daniels #1 in my book. Yeah, I have. Listen, Jay Daniels is legit. Now, what makes it so unique, Joe Burrow, like a lot of people say Joe Burrow probably had the greatest college year as a quarterback. I think that goes to Cam Newton. I just think the reason I say it was Cam Newton because Joe Burrow had 2 all-pro receivers at his helm. He had Jamar Chase. He had Justin Jefferson. He had a lot of other receivers. He had Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So Jay Daniels, he had two big-time receivers, too. He had Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. That's why I give it to Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton, he did it with nobody. You can't even name a receiver he had. But, yeah, he took those guys to the national championship and won. So, to me, I think, listen, Cam, I think he had the best year. But Jay Daniels easily can be number one in my book. I'm biased SEC guy. He does an amazing job. He put the fear of God in me this past year when LSU played Alabama. He could throw it. He could run it, throwing dimes. He was doing it all. And I was like, man, this guy is tough. But shouts out to Dallas Turner making that play. That kind of changed the game. It was a game-changing play. Say what you want to say. It was a game changing play. A lot of Bo Nix slander going on. He says the only person logged more time in college than Bo Nix was Drunken Bennett, talking about Stetson Bennett. I think Stetson Bennett broke the record. This guy was in college for like 8 years and then graduate. I don't know. What are y'all doing? I mean, what are we doing here? Great comment for Lushan. Joe Stapleton says, not if Dallas Turner hits him again. Listen, Dallas Turner can't hit him, but you know what's going to happen that doesn't happen in the college? You're going to get in college, you might get a 15-yard penalty or targeting or whatever. In the NFL, if you breathe on the quarterback wrong, if you don't lay him down when you sack him, they're gonna write a fine, and those fines are gonna add up. So Dallas Turner, that's one thing he's gonna have to work on. I love the aggressiveness, but when it comes to making that sack in quarterbacks, you kind of have to like two-hand touch them and lay a pillow down and gently rest him for that sack, or else the NFL is gonna write you a fine, and that fine is probably gonna be about 10,000 coming out of your paycheck. So, but yeah, that's something Dallas Turner is going to have to adjust. Belmo Sotomayor says RTR. Dirt Road Bigfoot's laughing at Lushan's comment. James Knox says, is this off the Charmin? Yes, West Charmin James. Oh man, y'all are. Nick Saban Jr. says, roll tide. Roll tide, Nick Saban Jr. Shouts out to Nick Saban Jr. He does a great show. Nick Saban Jr. Sports Talk TV. Tune into his channel. Does an amazing job. Nick Saban Jr., I know you're a big Bucks fan. I think Tampa Bay goes for a defensive edge rusher. I think y'all are looking at Chop Robinson for that position. Let's see. Shouts out. Everybody loving. A lot of Raiders fans. We got Raiders, Niners, Bucks. We got them all, but Raiders and Niners fans showing out on Football University and saying, listen, I'm a Raiders fan. I want anyone but Bo Nix. Yeah. I think Raiders would be – I think it's two quarterbacks on the Raiders' radar. Listen, Jay Daniels and Michael Penix. I think those are who are on their radar for sure. So, yeah, let's get to a few of my notes. So we mentioned the NFL draft. I think we've covered just about all regarding Alabama players and the first round. Now, I want to discuss second round steals for Alabama. I think in the second round, you're looking at guys like Jermaine Burton. I'm telling you right now, I think Jermaine Burton, you can probably book it on Football University. Jermaine Burton will be a Green Bay Packer. I just think he just fits what Green Bay's like to do. They don't really get all the flashy big-time receivers. They know how to really evaluate hidden gems regarding the receivers. And I think when Jermaine Burton will be a Green Bay Packer, that's just the hunch I have. But I think Jermaine Burton will be a solid steal, day two guy. Other guys, listen, Chris Braswell. I think Chris Braswell is going to be a really good steal. I think he's going early, possibly in the second round, mid upper second round. If he doesn't go first round, I think it'll be some teams trading up to get Chris Braswell. I think he's going to be a steal. Justin Igboigbe, I think Joe Stapleton mentioned the San Francisco 49ers. Listen, I think Justin Igboigbe will be a great steal for day 2 guys from Alabama guys. So those are the guys I'm kind of have my eyes on regarding the NFL draft. And so we mentioned draft rumors. We mentioned don't be surprised. I mentioned the Broncos traded for Zach Wilson. We don't know what Denver's doing. But like I said, does that have a Patrick Surtain effect? You know, we don't know what Sean Payton, we don't know what George Payton is doing, the GM. I don't know how he still has a job because he wasted so much money in the Russell Wilson contract where you still paying his contract and he's not even on your team. So you're the one who brought in Sean Payton as your head coach. So I don't know how he still has a job, but should have just hired me and I would have Denver in a better situation. But listen, watch out for the Broncos. I mean, 2 teams I'm watching out for. I don't know what the Broncos are going to do at quarterback, and do they trade Patrick Surtain to maybe a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, like I mentioned earlier. I think Howie Roseman wants an Alabama cornerback, and I think that could either be Patrick Surtain or Terry Arnold. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to trade for, like he did with A.J. Brown, for Patrick Surtain. You know, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles, shouts out to Devontae Smith. He got an extension with the Philadelphia Eagles. Smart by the Eagles to go ahead and pay this man, Devontae Smith. That's one thing I love about Howie Roseman. I think he's one of the top. GMs. He knows how to, before the market gets set, he knows how to go ahead and pay his guys. That way you won't be in a situation, I believe we discussed it last week a little bit, you won't be in a situation like Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys where you have to pay, not only you got to, Dax possibly got to get a new contract after you already spent all this money on him. You definitely got to pay CeeDee Lamb, and he's probably looking to set the market. And you got to pay Micah Parsons, who's probably looking to get paid, looking at linebackers, defensive ends, contracts. So you're going to have to shell out a lot of money. You should have tried to pay those guys, give them extensions, before they got to there, when it's time to pay up. I think you could have got them cheaper. So shouts out to Devontae Smith getting that 3 year, $75 million, $51 million guaranteed. Shouts out to the Eagles. So yeah, but yeah, another Alabama news. Levi Wallace, former Alabama walk-on, got to sign a 1 year deal, 1 year or 2 year deal with the Denver Broncos. So does that make it possible that, maybe they try to, trade Patrick Surtain, to Philadelphia? It's going to be interesting. I'm going to be keeping my eye on Philly. I know Philly is going to be aggressive, especially if Terry Arnold's still on the board, or are they going to be aggressive on the phones with other GMs trying to get Patrick Surtain? I wouldn't be surprised. So be on the lookout for that. Let's see. Let's talk. We mentioned. Let's talk about Talladega. I know this is football university, and we discuss a lot of football. But Alabama football was at Talladega yesterday for the big race. And it was kind of went viral on Alabama Twitter. Malachi Moore, Jalen Milroe, and a lot of about 12, 14 Alabama players were there at Dega to experience the race. And listen, it was interesting. But one photo I thought that went viral on Alabama Twitter, Jalen Milroe meeting with Michael Jordan, the GOAT, in my opinion. I mean, it's the GOAT. I mean, the GOAT competition is not a debate, in my opinion. But it's subjective. It's opinionated. That's what we do. But I thought that was cool. Jalen Milroe to have a picture with Michael Jordan, the GOAT, having them at the racetrack. And look, Michael Jordan, he's a co-owner of his race. His racer, Tyler Reddick, won the race at Talladega. So I know it's a good, exciting time for Michael Jordan, for him to win his race at Talladega. Listen, I'm a sports guy. For me, but listen, the way he won, Brad Keselowski tried to, he was in number 2. He tried to win. He chipped the leader, and Tyler Reddick pulled on through. I think he came from like 5th or 4th to win the race. So, but yeah, LaShawn said, yeah, it's a debate. Yeah, it's definitely a debate. A lot of people like LeBron. A lot of people like Kobe. I love Kobe Bryant. That's just my guy. I know. That's just what I said. Milrose picture with the jump man. But yeah, listen, it's going to be exciting to see. We got the draft. Let me know. I told you my takes here at Football University. I told you be on the lookout for teams like the Eagles and Broncos regarding Patrick Surtain or Terry R. Arnold, especially if there's a run on quarterbacks. If there's a run on offensive linemen, I do think Dallas Turner will be the first defensive player at number 8 or for the Atlanta Falcons, or number 9 for the Chicago Bears. And so I think after that, it's either going to be J.C. Latham or Terry Arnold, depending on how the draft is. It's very fluid. Don't be surprised. Teams like the San Francisco 49ers for Kool-Aid, Baltimore Ravens, Green Bay Packers, or the Detroit Lions for Kool-Aid McKinstry. So it's going to be interesting to see. But we'll discuss it here at Football University next week. Enjoy the draft. Enjoy football this week. Listen, it's going to be another great show. Thank you to all the fans or friends in the student section, family. LaShawn, Joe Stapleton. LaShawn says Jordan's not the GOAT. Joe Stapleton says he is the GOAT. LaShawn, Jeff Stapleton, Bob Rutherford, James Knox, Nick Saban Jr., Dirt Road Bigfoot, Carla Hinton, Bob Rutherford, Lori Caddell, Douglas Caddell, Velma Studevire, all you guys and gals, thank you for tuning in. Come back in, invite a friend next week, same time, 7 o'clock, Football University, where we will recap the NFL draft and discuss possibly next year's guys. But listen, we're going to discuss anything football. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all have an enjoyable, blessed week, and I look forward to talking to you all next week here at Football University. Have a great week. Peace.